I'm Shaun McAlister. I'm the Executive Director of DFW Norml. Welcome to our February meeting. Give yourself a hand for getting off the couch, guys. How many of you, this is your first normal anything? Raise your hand. Oh, very good percentage. Welcome. Please stay and talk to everybody afterwards. We're pretty much the friendliest crowd you can imagine, so we'd like to be very inclusive. So go and introduce yourself to everybody because we're a family here and we want you to be a part of it. So welcome. I really appreciate everybody coming out. We've got a lot of different things that we're going to talk about today. The first thing that we want to talk about is our Texas Medical Marijuana Act of 2013.
This is a very comprehensive bill. It's taken us a long time to put it together because really, if we want to come out with a bill, I don't know if you've seen the bills that we have so far, they're great bills, but they're one page. They're very simple, very easy to understand, but they also don't do very much. They don't do enough, in my opinion. I like them and I'm going to support them. They don't do enough. What we built was a Texas Medical Marijuana Act. What this does, this is a bill that we've yet to have a sponsor for, and that's what we need, that's what we're talking to you about, is this is a bill that will provide you the opportunity to go to your doctor, if this bill is enacted, and go to your doctor and get a license or get a recommendation for medical marijuana for an ailment that the doctor believes that you could be alleviated by this plant. So you take this card to a wellness center, and a wellness center will supply you with the marijuana that you need. You can also grow 6 plants on your own in your own home if you want to. You can assign a caregiver. So what this 34-page bill does is provides for all the legalese for that, because there's a lot of other laws and there's a lot of other statutes in the Texas legislation that prohibit the use of marijuana concentrates or edibles and all of those different things, and it provides punishment. We had to put together a bill that kind of redacted of all of that stuff. It also provides an earmark for $1 million from the Texas Licensing Authority to provide for an organization that certainly doesn't exist yet that needs to be formed. That would be similar to the Liquor Control Board, so we could tax and regulate it, those wellness centers. This is not a recreational bill. This is specifically a medical marijuana bill. It makes a conversation with you and your doctor safe from law enforcement or government intrusion, and it makes that conversation private, so that they don't get to know about that conversation, what the doctor talked to you about. The doctor needs to feel comfortable talking to you about medical marijuana and those different types of things. So that's what this bill does. So now that we've got this bill put together, well, I'll tell you it's a great bill. I don't work for a dispensary. I don't work for any conglomerate. I'm not getting paid by anybody to do this. I'm a Texas resident just like you. So this is a bill by Texans, for medical marijuana. But we need a sponsor for this bill, and that's what our dilemma is. We thought we had one, but we didn't. I got to tell you, the politics of getting a bill into the Texas legislature is difficult. If you don't know, the Texas legislature meets every 2 years. They're in session. Okay, so the bill is in the Texas legislature's offices, but it hasn't been assigned a number yet, so it hasn't been filed. We don't have a number. So in order for that to happen, we have to have a bill champion, a sponsor. So sponsor, one of the Texas representatives, one of your representatives has to take this bill and file it. So this is why you're here today, because we need you to go talk to your rep.
It's not that scary to go talk to your representative. I was a little bit nervous before I did it. It was my first time. I've been in this movement for a while and I still had never done it, so don't feel bad. But it wasn't scary. And I think that some of the concerns that people have, or maybe you're outing yourself as a pot smoker, and you know, if I go and give my address and I set up a meeting, like, are they gonna come to my house tonight and knock on the door because I think weed should be legal and they're gonna assume I'm smoking it? Like, that is just never gonna happen. It's not. You are just going and talking to your representative about an issue that you care about. And in Texas, that's the only way that laws are passed, is our representatives. So we don't have like a ballot initiative. You know, in some states, Washington and Colorado legalize marijuana. That's because they have citizens have sort of more influence on the kind of legislations and petitions, and they can get stuff passed that way, but we can't. It's just our senators and our representatives create legislation, and then they, you know, it goes to these committees and they have hearings, and then they vote, they put it to a vote on the floor, and it gets passed or not. So that is the only way that we can ever change the laws in Texas is through our representatives. So we have to tell them what we want. And that isn't even just this issue. We need to talk to our representatives about whatever issues we care about, you know, environmental issues, social issues. It's sort of our duty to do that. A lot of people don't, so the people that do it really stand out. Those are all really important things to do, the letters, the calls, the emails. But the thing that just really eclipses all of that is going and having a face-to-face meeting. You know, taking the time to go meet with your representative. It's probably not going to be your actual senator or representative, not at first at least. It's probably going to be someone on their staff who's there to hear constituents, you know, complaints and ideas. So call and make that appointment.
What we have coming up next is 420, which is 2 years ago we had a 420 event at the Green Elephant in Dallas, and we're actually doing it again this year because we had such an awesome time. We've been moving around a whole lot over the Metroplex these past couple of years, trying to get as much support as we can from people that maybe don't have the opportunity to drive, you know, 45 minutes or more in a lot of cases, just to come out and be involved in this kind of group. So for the 420 event, we've got that, obviously it is on April 20th, which is a Saturday. The doors are going to open at 7 p.m. because apparently it's a really big holiday in itself as 420, and they already have another 420 event booked for that beginning of the day at a bar that, you know, bars don't even normally open until, you know, noon, 3 or 4, and they've got a whole 7-hour event on 420 before the normal 420 event. So we see how much this idea is growing here in the Metroplex. At the event, we're going to have 9 musical acts from several different genres. The Green Elephant offers 2 stages. There's an outside and an inside. If you've ever been to the Green Elephant before, you know the outside is a very liberal environment, and we've never had any issues there. So along with the 9 musical acts, 2 different stages, we're going to have some fire spinners that have been out there before, which is kind of like a reunion deal for a group called Monkeyfish Shinobi that has 9 artists. They've done flaming sword fights at like midnight at this place, so it's just an awesome type of entertainment to enjoy, especially when supporting the cause like this.
We've got one of the most, if not the most, active chapter, period, in the world for Norml in Dallas-Fort Worth. It's very likely we have the largest. We have somewhere around 300 active members. We've got 100 people in here right now, though. Yeah! That is amazing. We've got people throwing meetings out in California and New Jersey and places where they've got medical marijuana that have 30 people show up to their meetings, and yet we always have a great turnout. It's because the support here is strong. And so, to politically show how strong that support has become, we have decided that we're going to throw a conference. How many people know, by show of hands, who Russ Bellville is? All right, Russ Bellville is actually one of my personal heroes within the movement. He is the host of an independent radio TV show. He goes by Radical Russ, and he is what I consider, and a lot of people consider, the voice of the marijuana nation. He used to be with National Norml. He was the national outreach coordinator for many years. He hosted their Norml show live for many years, and he's just a great guy. And I cannot name somebody who speaks better for this movement than Russ Bellville. He's agreed to come and be very actively a participant in our in our conference, and he's probably going to serve as a bit of a moderator and host throughout. And one of the things that I want him to do is give a sort of crash course in speaking about marijuana activism, because he does it so well. And I feel like if we got a lot of people to listen to him for just a few minutes, it would help us all improve our canna speak, is what I call it, because I listen to his show almost every day. He does a podcast every single day. It's an hour long, and it's made me a much better speaker for this movement. Just hearing someone who has the facts, who can calmly and confidently express a message. And so I feel like he's a great voice. And so we want him to be involved. He's already committed. We're buying his plane ticket tonight. So the conference proper is going to be on the 8th and 9th, which is a Saturday, Sunday. Friday, we're going to do a reception, meet and greet type party, live music, etc. We're going to make sure that we don't just have panels at this conference. You know, we may have 1 or 2 panels, but for the most part, we're going to get industry leaders, free thinkers within the movement that just have a lot to say, that maybe have a specific topic that they want to talk about for 30 minutes. And so we're going to be able to cover a lot more ground and hear from a lot more people at our conference, because we're not sticking them on a panel with 3 other people. So we're going to have the shorter talks, maybe a couple of panels,
we're going to have a film screening of some kind. We're going to have a hemp fashion show sponsored by this line of hempwear at our conference. You know, something very different, something you wouldn't expect at a drug policy conference. We're also going to try to have comedians, live music. We do these live music events all the time. Obviously, a lot of the bands around North Texas, they like to play for us. And so we've got basically our pick of the litter.
The other morning I was going to court and I was getting ready, and I was slugging coins into the meter, parking my car, and I get a text message and I look at it and it says, dude, somebody I've never heard of, said something to me about maybe you fronting me some of this acid, and then right under it, acid. On my phone? Okay. And needless to say, it caught me off guard, and then my response was, what? Going somewhere near something like that is so not me. And then I put, who is this name? And he says, sorry, I was confused. I don't even know what acid is. He sent this to his lawyer. And what had happened was he had texted me on Facebook the night, or wrote me up on Facebook the night before and said, hey, I lost all my contacts, send me your number. And that night I had sent him a deal, just my name, saying don't lose me, and then he wrote me back and said Schwizzle, and I'm like, okay, cool. But then this next morning I get this crap from him. Okay. He goes, sorry, I was confused. Don't even know what acid is. Wrong person. I really am sorry, man. My mistake. Okay. Look, I said, I don't know who that text message was intended for, but as your attorney, I'm going to advise you not to ever, ever, ever say something like that in a text message again. And look, I'm not in the business of trying to get you guys to break the law or trying to encourage you to break the law or anything else. But this stuff's not private at all. I said, nothing should go in a text message that you wouldn't put on a billboard across from the police station. And then he writes me back and says, good advice, David, it won't happen again. And then I went on because I wasn't done after this. I mean,
Cash Hyde is was the youngest medical cannabis patient in the U.S. At 18 months old, he was diagnosed with a stage 4 brain tumor. And after battling it with chemo, radiation therapy, all your traditional medical treatments, his parents were told that this is all we've got. And he had less than a 10% chance to survive. At that point, they made a crucial decision. That was to take him off all of the opiates and pharmaceutical medication and started secretly replacing 3 milliliters of refined cannabis oil through his feeding tube. He had been in a toxic coma for over 40 days without able to eat. Within 2 weeks of receiving that cannabis oil, he was up eating solid foods again. Within weeks after that, his MRIs and spinal taps started coming back, percentages decreasing and decreasing until his cancer was gone. He was in complete remission. We were able to beat cancer 3 times. On his 4th birthday, we were doing the Cannabis Cup in San Francisco when we received a phone call about the legislations in Montana, which is his home city, and how they were going to recriminalize. At the same time, we received phone calls from the drug task force in Montana, in Missoula, calling us up to let us know they were taking his grow. All the medicines that we had just been using, and we'd refined and found the right strains, the right CBD contents, everything we needed, they went and took. It took roughly 2-3 weeks without medicine that his cancer started to return, and now we're without any medicine. We put the call out all over the country trying to get medicine, which we had a lot of people volunteering, but a problem with this is because there's not enough research in the right areas, people aren't measuring their strains, they're not paying attention to the real medical values of this plant, and they're not getting it dialed in the way they need to. By the time we got the right strain, it had already been almost 80+ days, and he had gone too far down that cancer returning path to really have a successful chance at it. Cashy passed away in November of last year, And needless to say, I know we've all talked about it before. I've seen the videos, and unfortunately I wasn't here. I was at the funeral for the DFW event and candle vigil. Excuse me. After having that fight, a lot of people had come to me and said, how is Mike doing? How's Callie doing? How's the family doing? And I was planning on playing a video here. I'm not sure if it's going to show up or not. It's not going to show up. This weekend we did the Hyde Times Cannabis Cup in LA. And I wanted to show a video, unfortunately I have little technical difficulties, of how Mike Hyde's doing, how the family's doing. We've kind of put our time to mourn aside, and now we are really focusing on growing and helping kids fight cancer and continuing Cashy's legacy. Just about 2 weeks ago, we did our first reggae run in Phoenix, Arizona. We've opened up the Cash Hyde Cancer Help Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we are getting ready to launch a new movie with the coordination of a lot of other groups, LEAP, ASA, Norml, all of the activist groups across the country, which is called American Drug War Part 2. I've seen the movie. It's actually one of the best documentaries I've ever seen on the subject. And the Cash Hyde story is integral to the whole portions of the movie. We're going to be doing a theatrical release in June and try to coordinate with multiple cities and states all around the country, getting this information out there in non-legalized states, specifically in Texas. The director of this movie is from Austin. He's a native Texan. He loves Texas, and he knows that the fight here will make a difference across the country. What we continue to do here will help people everywhere we go. Another piece of the way we fight cancer and fight for our rights for clean and healthy medicine and access to medicine is by doing reggae runners. How many here knows what a reggae runner is? Well, a reggae runner is a little Tex car, you know, little orange and yellow cars the kids play in. What we do is we retrofit them with IV poles, with a little bit of Bob Marley, a little bit of One Love, a little bit of Cancer Fears Me, stickers and motivational things on them. And we donate them to hospitals all over the country. And the concept's really simple. You take a kid or any person that's fighting a terminal ailment and you give them 1 minute to smile, 1 minute to forget about the pains that they're fighting right then. And that's 1 minute they're a little bit stronger. That's 1 minute cancer isn't winning anymore. But it's also another way that we can get that information in the hands of the people that need it. Because it's got the Cash Hyde logo on it. It's got the information where the families that are in these battles can find their way over and look at our website and see how we fought, see what we lost. You know, see how we're going to continue to fight and continue to pay it forward. So with that said, we did Dallas Children's Hospital here just earlier this year. We're going to be focusing on doing reggae runs in every city within Texas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and we'll be coordinating all these groups together for the release of the movie. So if anybody wants to help or get involved, there's flyers up there. My cards are on all the tables. Look up the Cash Hyde Foundation online. One love. Thank you all for your time.
Larry was the former executive director of this fine organization when me and the love of my life, Andrea Brown, who is our treasurer, came to our first Norml event. And it was a picnic at Veterans Park. And it was a very welcoming group. They were grilling out, you know, there was some fine things in the air, and it was kind of nice because we had never really been someplace that was public about, you know, what we're talking about here right now. It was certainly nowhere near this number of people, I can assure you of that. And we meet Larry, we meet Chad, who's over here in the middle of the room. We meet all these great people who are running the organization right off the bat. And we hear, you know, we stick around, we have some food, we hear Larry talk, and we're like, yes, these guys are serious, they're actually doing what we want to be doing. We had just seen the movie The Union, The Business Behind Getting High. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that documentary, but it was the tipping point for me. And we saw that and I was like, oh hell no, we got to go down to a Norml event. Saw Larry talk and was just really impressed and joined the organization and have developed a really strong friendship with him and many people in the organization in the couple of years that I've been involved with DFW Norml. And so with that, I like to recommend Larry Talley as our Cannabis All-Star of the Month for his fine work on the bill and for his many years of service to DFW Norml.
One day I was sitting out there in a chair and I heard somebody speak and I decided to come up here. And then I was the inspiration for someone else. I'd love for every single one of you to be the inspiration for somebody else. And once that happens, we're going to change this world. We're going to start with our community, and we're going to go to our state, and we're going to change and influence our nation. Thank you all very much. God bless you.